She grew up only wanting to be a hairdresser, but Tammy Wynette styled herself a dream and took it all the way to Nashville and into the hearts of America. Visit the private paradise of Maui and join the fun as the superstars make waves at this jewel atop Hawaii. Meet David Brenner for a slice of the good life as the crazy comic puts fun on the menu during a High Rollers tour of Atlantic City. All this and more when Lifestyles returns.
Lifestyles of the shitbag famous.
The left is attacking my bowel movements. My toilet is under attack from the woke left.
Definitely tired.
He's tired.
He's sleepy.
Ever notice how dark and sunken in my eyes are?
We've noticed how dark the bags under your eyes are, buddy. I only talk about it every day. He's raccoon man.
Little tired today. It was a long night.
He's always tired.
What are you fresh?
Oh man, look at him though. He is tired.
I'm gonna take a nap.
Take a day off.
Look at his eyes. They're just bloodshot. Look at his left eye. It's completely bloodshot.
I'm tired, boss.
What are you guys going up to? What are you guys going up to?
Fail.
What are you guys up to this weekend?
Whoa!
Oh, there we go!
Whoa!
Whoa! Buddy!
Distraction alert!
He has a problem with words. His brain doesn't work so good.
He's not focused.
He's trying to be an actual entertainer with these problems.
Oh, shit.
He's mushmouth. He looks like my UPS delivery guy. Not the first person to say that.
Yep.
It seems to be a universal recognition that he looks like a fucking UPS driver.
Well, now I'm just gonna upload all the terrible ones so you guys can watch me suffer. Or suffer, as some people like to say.
He's rolled over and showed his udders and just embraced being a lolcow. And he's like, yeah, I guess I'm in my lolcow era, boys. Here you go. Make sure you get this close up when you milk my udders.
I just jumped I just did my little trampoline.
I want to see Jared do tricks on the trampoline. You think Jared can do a 360 backflip, buddy? He's going to poo his pants on the trampoline, guaranteed.
I'm gonna have to shit for sure.
The pooth is out there, pal.
I have anxiety diarrhea.
He has anxiety diarrhea.
I was getting like diarrhea a lot. I had to run a red light and still some came out.
Can you imagine if he did run the red light and just T-bone a family and like paralyze some? Officer, I'm sorry I killed that family of 4, but I couldn't shit my pants. Your political live stream, sir.
You've never had the joy of pissing in your own basement.
The woke is so owned, good sir.
And the left, that's the #1 insult.
The left.
Are you for real, bro? It's anybody who would hear it would make fun of you.
If I eat healthy, explosive diarrhea.
You don't have to tell anybody this shit. No one wants to know about your shit. You shitter. The left is attacking my bowel movements. My toilet is under attack from the woke left. No, I'm pretty sure your toilet's under attack from you, good sir.
To bring back the shit stories, I'll share them.
No.
Sometimes they'll have bathrooms available if they're like a park or something like that. Usually it's where like homeless people shoot up. I had like a diarrhea moment.
This is your quartering heritage moment. His diarrhea moment.
Buddy.
So there you go. There's Lazy Shell, and that's what he set up, the Keno Casino versus the Quartering. That's been hilarious. I think I'm going to save that for later. But hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Relief Valve podcast. We haven't done a Sunday shitbag roundup in a minute, as the kids say. So got some stuff to catch up with here, and the shitbag of the week is definitely the cuck Jer. Jer, the I have a bull Hambly. But first, I wanted to get through some of the Iran stuff because that's been crazy, and you know, it's been frustrating me because all of this we're winning, and then we turn around and we negotiate everything, and you know, if we're in a position of power and this is all going great, why do we keep dragging Iran to the table or attempting to drag them to the table when you know, they don't even want to go. I mean, they're cucking us, and they're like, well, fuck you guys, we're not going to do it. So President Trump's things have been off the chain. All of his stuff. This was a couple of days, 6 days ago. But I had saved some of this just to go through some of it. I'm winning a war by a lot. By the way, this is the peace president. He talks about how he's the peace president. Things are going very well. Our military has been amazing, and if you read the fake news, like the failing New York Times, the absolutely horrendous and disgusting Wall Street Journal, or the now almost defunct, fortunately, Washington Post, you would actually think we are losing the war. The enemy is confused because they get the same media reports, and yet they realize their Navy has been completely wiped out. Their Air Force has gone into darker runways. They have no anti-missile or anti-airplane equipment. Their former leaders are mostly gone. This has been, in addition to everything else, regime change. They're quoting the Ayatollah's son now being in charge as the regime change. That technically speaking, that's what happened, but it's not the regime change we were looking for. You essentially got the same administration in. It's like getting rid of Barack Obama, but then Kamala Harris takes over. Like, how much of a regime change did you really have? But okay. And perhaps most important of all, the blockade, which we will not take off until there is a deal, is absolutely destroying Iran. Right, so we're blockading the blockade of the blockade, and somehow this was a win. This was 5D chess. Absolutely ridiculous. They're losing $500 million a day, where so isn't everybody else that has to go to the gas station and get $4 a gallon oil of fuel. An unsustainable number, even in the short run. The anti-America fake news media is rooting for Iran to win, but it's not going to happen because I'm in charge. Well, it's going fucking brilliant so far. Just like these unpatriotic people used every ounce of their limited strength to fight me in the election, they continue to do so with Iran. The result will be the same. It already is. President Donald J. Trump. And I don't even know. I heard this is going to shit. The 60 Minutes interview at 7. That's already gone sideways. I haven't even listened to that. Who knows what else he's put here. The shooting, we're going to get to the shooting at the stupid press briefing bullshit. He uses this as the reason that he needs to build the ballroom so you can have extra security. Like, what happened last night is exactly the reason our great military, Secret Service, law enforcement, for different reasons, every president for the last 150 years has been demanding that a large, safe, and secure ballroom be built on the grounds of the White House. This event would never have happened with a military top secret ballroom. Like, I mean, I guess presidents throughout history have ended up making changes in building and adding, taking away or putting on stuff to the White House. So it's not necessarily the end of the world as far as I'm concerned. This was the guy. I'm going to be getting into it a little bit. He's a leftist teacher from California. So the typical left-wing nut job that is educating our children and your children, and these whack jobs that could go off at a minute's notice are teachers teaching our kids, and then they show up to events and do stuff like this. So he had gotten he's posting multiple shots of this guy. Again, we're gonna get to it. So
what had Iran been doing for hours out there? Well, they decided to try to take over the Strait of Hormuz and were attacking ships, all reportedly ordered by an Iranian National Guard commander that you see there on your screen. He has taken over the military and all diplomatic operations, freezing out so-called moderates in the Islamic regime. The IRGC forced multiple ships to turn around in the Strait of Hormuz over the weekend and then opened fire on some of them. Marine Traffic 24-hour snapshot shows the path of an Indian flag tanker before and after it was attacked, again by Iran. And you can see it entering the strait before doubling back quickly to try to get away from the IRGC commander's fire. What did Iran?
So this is some of the talk that's happening right now, is that there's a miscommunication between the what is the new parts of the Iranian government and leadership right now and the IRGC themselves that have almost kind of gone rogue. So there's been some unconfirmed reports that the Ayatollah's son, the one that supposedly lost his leg, had a leg amputated during Israeli strikes against him, and then he was in a coma. and supposedly he survived, and now he's allegedly awake and was attempting to issue orders or talk about attempting to have negotiations with the United States. Now, at this point in time, it's there's word coming that the IRGC is almost like kidnapped him or put him under like some sort of weird house arrest. I don't know what it is, but basically the IRGC has decided to run the show and say fuck whatever elements of the regular government that want to negotiate with the United States. So you there definitely seems to be a split that's happening in Iran right now between the IRGC and between the higher ups within the existing government, and they can't come to an agreement about what's been going on. So the Iranians were supposed to be sending a delegation to, I think, Pakistan. They were supposed to be meeting with us. That has been canceled multiple times at this point. They have refused to show up. President Trump has extended the 2-week ceasefire, which at this point is only benefiting Iran. They're rebuilding certain sites. They're digging out certain missile sites. They're putting out patrol boats, and they are harassing, attacking. The bridge of one ship was hit by an RPG. Several other crews have been attacked from both land-based and then water, small fast attack boats and gunboats as well. So Iran has taken all of this opportunity that we're giving them for this stupid ceasefire, which I have no idea what we're doing because we're winning. But, we have to give them ceasefires and we have to beg them to sit at the table to make a deal. After when President Trump started this, he said, we're done making deals. We're not going to, we tried to do it initially. They don't want to do it. We're not going to make deals. We're going to wipe everything out. Except you haven't done it. And, and the thing, and I've been a Trump supporter. I've voted for him every single time. I have been a Trump supporter. But I don't like being lied to. I don't like that you're telling me that we're winning and we're not winning. And this stupid rhetoric about, oh, we're gonna go get the dust. We're gonna go get the nuclear dust, and we're gonna get in there and we're gonna sweep that all up. Like you're gonna send an army of Mexican maids with brushes and a dustpan and a fucking broom. And they're all just gonna a bunch of abuelas, and they're all gonna fucking sweep up the whole area. Like it's not dust. First of all, if it was dust, then we wouldn't have to worry about it anymore. It's already mixed in with the other soil. It's become contaminated. It's become unusable. I mean, I'm no nuclear scientist, but my guess is, if it's dust, as they over-exaggeratingly say, it's not something that we have to worry about anymore. So that's bullshitting me and everybody else, and shoving a false narrative down our throats, telling us we've won, and then we're begging for you to sit down at the negotiating table. We're offering you more time than you need or have even asked for a ceasefire so you can rebuild and get resupplied from the initial attacks. And as crazy as these motherfuckers are, I mean, shout out to the IRGC, because they're taking on America and Israel and haven't backed down at all. They have refused to surrender through all of this shit. Now, here's some updates here. This is Enforcer. Sometimes I follow them.
Hello. Today we have breaking news coming out from around the world, but in particular from the Middle East, as the Islamic Republic of Iran has officially announced that they are now closing the Strait of Hormuz indefinitely and will be looking to deal a deadly blow to the United States of America militarily. At the same time, we have seen that the Islamic Republic of Iran has attacked around 3 commercial ships within the area of the Strait of Hormuz, causing significant damage to the vessels and also causing a great deal of panic within the strait, as a large amount of tankers, which were making the passage at that time, had to turn around and return back into the Persian Gulf to avoid being fired upon by the Islamic Republic of Iran. We have also seen that the United States of America appears to be preparing for future military operations to continue against Iran, as the Iranian government has stated that they are more than willing to conduct further attacks on the United States of America and its allies throughout the region, and significant airlifts by U.S. Air Forces are still ongoing at this moment between the United States of America and the CENTCOM area of responsibility. We have also seen reports that the United States of America will be boarding and seizing Iranian tankers that now attempt to run the blockade, as the situation is deteriorating.
So, they're running boats all along here in the Strait of Hormuz, and they're going after tankers that try to slip through. we've got a fleet stationed right here to make sure none of their stuff can get through, even though I've heard a tanker here and there ends up making it through. If it's Chinese, they're letting it through because we don't want war with China. So they're going to be able to send their ships through. So really, this is, it's a half-assed blockade that is supposed to give the impression that no, you don't blockade us, we blockade you, fucker. And it's like, well, they're already fucking doing that. So we have the strongest navy in the world, allegedly. So why don't we go in there and just do what has to be done at this point? I mean, I've made the argument that it's dangerous. It's about 30 miles wide. So, and more mines have been put down as well. These ships have been laying more. So the amount went from between 8 and 10 to maybe 20 at this point. And you don't know where they are. And some of them even have the ability to free float. So there are only certain areas that you can travel through safely. Only the Iranian regime knows where that area is. So that's a danger. I think the United States is already, I'm going to let this keep playing, but we've already mothballed 2 mine layers. Right before this started, 2 were being decommissioned. So we don't even have the mine sweeping capabilities that we did before. I'm going to find that one.
Rapidly, an armed conflict is believed to only be a matter of days away. We have also seen in other major developments that inside of Ukraine, the Ukrainian armed forces have been able to land significant hits on the Tuapse refinery and the Syzran refinery, while at the same time, the Russian Federation has announced that it is going through an absolute terrible economic fallout, as it goes on down into the smaller stories throughout the video. Our attention today once again returns back to the Strait of Hormuz, as we have seen updates on the situation within the area, and it is rapidly deteriorating as of this moment right now. Around 10 hours ago, at this time, right after we got off air last night, the Strait of Hormuz did appear that it was going to be open for some limited amount of time. And while we had seen before this that the Iranians had announced that the strait was shut down and any ships attempting to pass would be fired upon, it appears that at some point last night, a large amount of ships once again got the idea that the strait may be open, and a significant amount of them started to make their way on into the area and try to make it through the strait. We were then able to see in real time that the vessels were being transmitted messages that they would be fired upon, and a significant amount of them turned around, but some of them actually appeared to have either paid the Iranian toll or were using the toll corridor just south of Larak to be able to make their transits through the area. We accounted that around 8 vessels were able to make it through the toll booth corridor to the other side of the strait, inside of the Gulf of Oman, during that period of time. Not long afterwards, we then started to see that the vessels had all turned around that were at least attempting to pass through this area after the Iranians did announce abrupt military control, which you can once again see in real time right here as all of these vessels turn around and start returning back to the Persian Gulf once again. In the midst of all this, the Iranians have started to make a significant amount of concerning statements, as the Iranians did announce once again, according to the Fars news agency, that the Strait of Hormuz was back under the strict management and control of the armed forces. And to read y'all the exact statement here by Fars news agency, this was from the spokesperson of the central headquarters of the Khatam al-Anbiya, or the PBUH. Control of the Strait of Hormuz has returned to its previous state. The Islamic Republic of Iran, following previous agreements and negotiations, has in good faith agreed to the managed passage of a limited number of oil tankers and commercial ships through the Strait of Hormuz. However, unfortunately, the Americans, with repeated breaches of their commitments as in their history, continue piracy and maritime robbery under the so-called blockade. For this reason, control of the Strait of Hormuz has returned to its previous state, and this strategic strait is under the strict management and control of the armed forces. As long as the United States does not end the complete freedom of passage for vessels to and from Iran, the situation in the Strait of Hormuz will remain heavily controlled and in its previous state. Additional word also came out by the IRGC in another following message, broadcasted over VHF to all of the ships that were near or in the strait at that time. Attention all ships, regarding the failure of the U.S. government to fulfill its commitment in the negotiation, Iran declares the Strait of Hormuz completely closed again. No vessel of any type or nationality is allowed to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. Additionally, the Hormuz was also once again announced to be completely closed, and we were able to hear that Iran had also reported to Reuters, and also many other sources have reported that the Strait of Hormuz had been officially closed once again by the Islamic Republic of Iran. Some vessels did attempt to try and stay away from the area and try to avoid it, much like we were seeing on the marine trackers that we were just watching a moment ago at the beginning of the video. But some vessels actually did try and press their luck, including one Indian ship that appears to have turned off its transponder after it showed that it was turning around south of Larak, and then tried to make a break through the Strait of Hormuz with its transponder off to be able to try and avoid being stuck within the strait. The Iranians did fire upon the vessel and have hit it, and so far from what we understand, the vessel is on fire and adrift. We actually were able to hear one of the brief radio messages from this Indian tanker, the Samar Herald, right here after they had been fired upon.
Sepa Navy, this is Motor Samar Herald. You gave me clearance to go. My name second on your list. You gave me clearance to go. You are firing now. Let me turn back.
My name's second on your list.
It appears that afterwards we then were able to hear, and we haven't been able to compile this list at this moment in this video as to how many ships have been hit, but around 3 vessels have been hit so far within the Strait of Hormuz, all of them commercial tankers and other cargo vessels, after the Iranians announced that they were completely closing the Strait of Hormuz. We also were able to hear that, according to the reports by the UK MTO, a vessel was hit generally within that area. However, this is not the oil tanker, the Sepan Herald, which we were just looking at a moment ago. This is actually a container ship. The prior ship that we were looking at, the Indian vessel, was actually a crude oil tanker. It appears that another container ship was also hit by an unknown projectile within this very area. And we also were able to see that another incident occurred where a tanker reported the approach of 2 IRGC gunboats, and then they fired upon the tanker, and the tanker and crew are reported safe. But nevertheless, this is the 3 vessels that have been attacked over just the past 10 hours within the very same area of the strait. The Indian tanker, the Herald, the container ship 25 nautical miles northeast of Oman, and also the tanker that was 20 nautical miles northeast of Oman, which was being fired upon by IRGC gunboats. It has become incredibly clear that the Islamic Republic of Iran is already putting itself into a wartime footing, not only from its actions within the Strait of Hormuz, but the statements from the Iranian government today, as Mujtaba Khamenei's account put out a statement on Telegram stating that the Iranian Navy is ready to inflict new bitter defeats on enemies, once again showing us that they are not taking a negotiating and peacetime footing in this current situation. They are in fact taking a wartime footing against the United States of America and its allies. We have also heard that the Iranians then pledged that they would respond with full force if they return to war once the ceasefire ends. We have also additionally heard within Iran today that Iran has not agreed to another round of talks with the United States, citing U.S. pressure tactics which include the president's blockade of the Strait of Hormuz and what it calls unreasonable demands per Tasnim news agency. All of this information here is leading us to believe that the Islamic Republic of Iran is preparing for the ceasefire to end and for conventional war to resume. The Iranians do not stand a chance, much like they did back then and much like they would now if the war starts again in its shooting form, to be able to survive militarily on land inside of Iran. The United States will most likely be able to achieve air superiority easily once again, and we will most likely see a significant amount of the IRGC and government forces find themselves under continuous barrage by those U.S. airstrikes, however long the continuation of the conflict goes on for. However, the Iranians are still looking to try and cause significant economic damage within the Strait of Hormuz due to their blockade, and they most likely understand that if they can wait out several months of this, critical fuel shortages will most likely start to grip larger parts of the world, which will give them a very significant amount of a negotiating chip, considering that a large amount of the countries here in the West are democratically run, meaning that they are beholden to the voters at the end of the day, and if the voters do not like the incredibly rising prices of fuel or the rationing that might soon ensue within a large amount of countries around the world, then that would put a lot of pressure on these governments and the U.S. government to end the conflict with Iran, even if it means a strategic defeat. We have also seen that outside of that sort of a war plan that the Iranians have, the United States appears to largely be working off of the same framework, with its current blockade around the area of the Strait of Oman. The blockade of the Strait of Oman is attempting to economically strangle Iran, much like the Iranians are attempting to economically strangle us. However, as far as perspectives go, there are a lot of additional pressuring factors here within the West that do not affect the Islamic Republic of Iran. For example, the Islamic Republic of Iran is an authoritarian regime that is run by a theocracy which will execute anybody in the country that stands up against their will. For that reason, it doesn't matter how bad the domestic economic situation gets in Iran, It's not like the Iranians are going to vote in a new leader. If anything, if they go out and try and protest the dire economic situation, they may actually get shot in the tens of thousands like they were in mid-January. On the other hand, within the United States of America, with the upcoming midterms right around the corner, rising fuel prices, fuel shortages, and rationing within the United States could see an incensed voting population that then may vote against the current party that is inside of the executive branch. If that was the case, that may put a significant amount of pressure on the United States.
And it looks like it already is. So the European nations are already planning for fuel shortages at this point because they can't get deliveries on a normal basis. The military won't be affected because the military ends up putting reserves in for emergency situations. But there are some words already that some carrier companies and flights are being reduced to certain areas because the airlines are worried that there won't be enough fuel to keep them going. So there's already a concern over there in Eastern Europe about all of that. In the meantime, our prices are up at $4 a gallon when you go to most places at this point. And I have to ask myself if I'm going to be real and not toe the corporate line for the Trump administration. I have to ask myself if Biden were in charge right now in running this conflict with Iran the way that he's doing it right now. Would I have something to say about it? Would I be up one side of him and down the other with criticism and complaints? And yes, I would. So we went in there to deal with a situation that we supposedly already dealt with in Operation Midnight Hammer. You remember when we flew the bombers over there? Well, that was a complete and utter success. You see, we took out every one of their facilities. We wiped them all out. Except now we had to go again because maybe there was some more and we didn't get it after all. And it's all dust, but we have to go clean up the dust. It's like more and more as I look at this, it looks like we went in under false pretenses. We just did it for whatever reason we did it for, whether to cover up the Epstein files, put another name and story in the headlines or what. I don't know what it is, but we went into a situation where we didn't necessarily need to go in, maybe also pushed by Israel as well. And, instead of accomplishing anything useful, we've created a whole problem for ourselves, and we've jacked up the price on the global market that is hurting all of us at the gas pump. It's the whole thing is crazy.
Demands due to the pressure that would be put on the U.S. government by the U.S. population. However, there is one more thing that I do have to say. The United States can avoid all of these troubles, the pressure by the population here within the United States, and also beat the Iranians at their own game with the blockade if we physically and militarily reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Conducting a reopening of the Hormuz would be a fairly arduous task, but nevertheless, it may be a necessary one. If not, we will see that the United States of America, one, will not achieve its aims within the area of the Islamic Republic of Iran in the Middle East, but we will also see that if we pack up and walk away in some form of a defeat, the Islamic Republic of Iran will be able to claim de facto control permanently over the Strait of Hormuz, which would be more detrimental to the U.S. strategic position indefinitely than any sort of current military actions that could be taken right now by the United States to forcibly reopen the strait. Moving us on into the American side of the situation, we also were able to hear that the President of the United States put out a statement today on the Iranians and their closing of the blockade, or more so closing of the strait and the continuation of the blockade once again. They got a little cute, as they've been doing for 47 years. We're talking to them. They wanted to close up the strait again. They've been doing that for years, and they can't blackmail us. Outside of that statement, we also were able to hear that, accordingly, the U.S. defense officials that have been leaking information in the press are claiming that the IRGC has conducted at least 3 attacks on commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz since Saturday, which has also been the largest number that we have seen so far since the opening of the conflict. The United States also appears to be preparing for a major escalation, according to a word that was spoken to the Wall Street Journal, as U.S. troops directly are supposed to be engaging at some point with Iran's ships for the first time. We'll be getting to that here in a moment. According to Robert A. Pape, we are at a fork in the road whether the U.S. backs down or Iran emerges as the fourth center of world power in the near term, or escalation to prevent that from happening. The United States of America's Navy, near to its blockade in the Gulf of Oman, has stated that they are now going to be preparing to board Iran-linked tankers and seize sanctioned vessels in international waters. meaning that here soon we will most likely start to see the U.S. Navy takes a lot more overt actions in seizing and securing the oil tankers that are attempting to leave the area and attempting to break the U.S. blockade. They may even try and pursue them into the Gulf of Oman to ensure that they're captured and that the largest amount of economic damage is leveraged against the Islamic Republic of Iran. We have also been able to hear in some additional words and statements on the situation that the United States is conducting an ongoing significant airlift into the Middle East, with this time lapse here showing us on Flight Radar 24 some of those larger and numerous numbers of flights that the United States has been conducting in C-5 Galaxies, C-17s, and myriad of other aircraft to be able to move supplies into the Middle East. This is giving us a larger idea that the United States does understand that the peace is more so of a fantasy at this point, and war is inevitable with the Iranians once again, and we're already seeing that they're trying to move in as much munitions and most likely reinforcements as possible to be.
So there you go. We're going right back to a wartime footing again, and it's going to go right back to a conflict. This isn't going to end. You know, Trump's ego can't take us walking away and looking at this as defeat. So now we have to stay there. But since you started this and they're radical terrorists, I mean, this was an all or nothing as soon as we walked in, regardless of whether you agree with this and that we should have gone there, or you don't and you say it doesn't matter what side you're on, or you don't and we never should have gone. Once we got in there, the only way to deal with these people at this point is to stop the entire regime, shut it all down. And that's not happening. Now, supposedly, Pentagon officials have met with just kind of a briefing for Congress. And they've said if it were to end tomorrow, the conflict were to end tomorrow, it would take 6 months to clear the Strait of Hormuz, of finding all the mines, clearing all the mines, because Iran may not know where they all are either. And that means 6 more months of this shit and not being able to get ships through safely in the meantime. And that was assuming as if it ended tomorrow, which is not going to happen. So it's turned into a shit show, and Trump has to take responsibility for his actions. And I'm not going to accept this, oh, we're winning and everything's going great there bullshit. You don't get to piss on my shoes and tell me it's raining. Okay, so let's move on here now to the shooting at the Correspondents' Dinner. So the White House Press Correspondents' Dinner is a bunch of elitist shitbags get together to fucking, you know, tell some stupid jokes, jerk each other off, and have a nice night at, you know, $1,000 a plate or whatever it is. Well, apparently some nut job showed up and decided to, a teacher from California, this is the awesome people that are teaching our children, and we got to get to the Erica Kirk thing too, where she was there, she was in attendance. All right, so let's get to some of this. J.D. Vance getting yanked off stage. The president gets removed on the other side.
Where's it at? Where's it at?
There's a woman crawling on her hands and knees over there.
Good evening, and thank you for being here for Fox 26 News at 10. I'm Daniel Romero. Tonight, we're getting new details after a man armed with guns and knives stormed the lobby outside the White House Correspondents' Dinner. The president and his cabinet were taken away immediately. At the dinner were two of Sinclair's national correspondents, Kayla Gaskins and Atra El-Nashar. Here they are describing the situation.
Hi, this is Kayla Gaskins here with Atra El-Nashar. We were attending the White House Correspondents' Dinner this evening when it turned into a night that neither of us thought was going to happen. We'll give you a quick scene setter first. Washington behind us, you can see the guests from the White House Correspondents' Dinner all leaving. There's the first responders. There's the security line. And again, Atra, this is not how we expected the night to go. We barely got through the salad portion so I don't remember exactly when the shift happened, but very quickly. Everyone went to the ground. Under the table in black tie tuxedos, dresses, under the table. Congressman Jamie Raskin was right in front of us. Very kind man. Also on the ground, just about 5 minutes before Speaker Mike Johnson had come over to our table. We were just chatting with him. Minutes before in the evening, we had spoken to most of the cabinet secretaries. Secretary of State Marco Rubio was there. We saw Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, Lee Zeldin, Linda McMahon, Education Secretary. The president had just walked in with First Lady Melania Trump. They'd done the national anthem. We were all eating our salad when the night ended.
And joining us now is Fox 26 reporter Madison Wilbur. Madison, we know that the gunman has been captured, but can you tell us what charges he now faces and what we know about him so far?
Authorities say the gunman rushed the Secret Service checkpoint in the lobby of the hotel that was holding the press dinner. According to the Associated Press, he's been identified as 31-year-old Cole Thomas Allen from Torrance, California. The AP says journalists in that area are already knocking on the door of the suspected gunman's home. Photos of the suspect after being taken into custody were later posted on the president's Truth Social account, showing him lying face down on the carpet and surrounded by agents. You can see that now on your screens. Interim DC Police Chief Jeffrey Carroll says the shooter is believed to have been a hotel guest. He is now being charged with firearm and assault charges. Back to you, Danya.
Thank you, Madison. We're also getting all new video from up close as President Trump was hurried out of the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Syracuse Dean of Journalism Mark Lodato was seated near the stage and filmed as Secret Service swarmed Trump to protect him. Others were rushed out of the room and attendees hid under the tables. A Secret Service member was shot in his bullet-resistant vest and is okay. Now, the security camera footage shows what President Trump described as the suspect charged the security checkpoint and law enforcement drawing their weapons and firing. You can see just how fast the man was sprinting through a checkpoint.
The man has been captured. They're going to his apartment. I guess he lives in California, and he's a sick person, a very sick person.
The president thanks law enforcement for doing a great job stopping him. He's now vowing to hold a rescheduled dinner in the next 30 days. The president now believes the shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner was an assassination attempt, drawing comparisons to the attempts on his life in Butler, Pennsylvania, and at Mar-a-Lago.
As you know, this is not the first time in the past couple of years that our republic has been attacked by a would-be assassin who sought to kill. In Butler, Pennsylvania, less than 2 years ago. You all know that story. And in Palm Beach, Florida, a few months after that, we came close.
The president says he believes assassins and would-be assassins try to kill very impactful people and that he hates to say that he's honored by that. We will continue to bring you the latest updates as the investigation continues. One police officer has died and another.
Okay, so a couple of things coming from this. Erica Kirk was there, and she could be heard saying, "Yeah, I don't want to be here. Get me out of here. I want to go home." Here's a little bit of that. Oh, there's no sound. How fucking
I just want to go home.
I just want to go home. So another show being put on by her. I mean, she looks so scared. Looks like it was totally just a thing for the cameras. JP Sears saying, with the whole magnitude of what happened, it'll be important to hear how merch sales did, and that's true. I've said this before. She seems like just a disingenuous widow. See, already coming up with merch that says "Freedom" and "I survived the Correspondents' Dinner," and that'll be the new swag coming out next week for Erica Kirk. In the meantime, there's some of the Kuckening and his crew working with him to clean up his shit stains. But so that was Erica rushing out, and then this was this is Don Lemon saving the shooter. So Don Lemon was able to come in and give a helping hand as well. He was very concerned about what had happened there. But here was the shooter's manifesto. "Hello, everybody!" exclamation mark. So I may have given a lot of people a surprise today. Let me start off by apologizing to everyone whose trust I abused. I apologize to my parents for saying I had an interview without specifying it was for Most Wanted. I apologize to my colleagues and students for saying I had personal emergency. By the time anyone read this, I was probably most certainly do not need to go do need to go to the ER, but can hardly call that not a self-inflicted status. I apologize to all of the people I traveled next to, all the workers who handle my luggage, and all the other non-targeted people at the hotel who I put in danger simply by being near. What a faggot. I apologize to everyone who was abused and or murdered before this, to all those who suffered before I was able to attempt this, to all who may still suffer, regardless of my success or failure. I don't expect forgiveness, but if I could have seen any other way to get this close, I would have taken it. Again, my sincere apologies onto why I did any of this. I'm a citizen of the United States of America. What my representatives do reflects on me. I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. Well, to be honest, completely honest, I was no longer willing a long time ago, but this is the first real opportunity I've had to do something about it. While I'm discussing this, I'll also go over my expected rules of engagement, probably in a terrible format, but I'm not military, so too bad. Administration officials, not including Mr. Patel, they are targets, prioritized from highest ranking to lowest. Secret Service, they are targets only if necessary, and to be incapacitated non-lethally if possible, aka, I hope they're wearing body armor, because center mass with shotguns messes up people who aren't. Hotel security, not targets if at all possible, aka unless they shoot at me. Capitol Police, same as hotel security. National Guard, same as hotel security. Guests, not. I'm glad he's weighing out his whole fucking plan. Like a woman who's about to take a vacation and she needs to plan out your itinerary. I mean, talk about a left-wing homo. In order to minimize casualties, I will also be using buckshot rather than slugs, less penetration through walls. I would still go through most everyone here to get the targets if it were absolutely necessary, on the basis that most people chose to attend speech by a pedophile, rapist, and traitor, and thus are complicit, and I really hope it doesn't come to that. So that's what that little homo, that was his manifesto. I look at this. This was, as they're clearing out, these fucking elitist pukes are stealing wine and putting it in their purse. These are our betters, everyone. In the press and in the elite circles. These bitches are all reaching for entire bottles of wine and putting them in, I don't know what that stupid music is, and putting them in their purses. This is after it's over, and look at her. Look at this fucking, no shame in her game. She's like the fucking Grinch. The thing comes out, and she's like, grabs it. This is going to be, I'm going to have a good night whether you like it or not. Fucking whores. All right, so here's another dude. I put this up. 0 fucks were given.
Besant in that room. You have Tulsi Gabbard in that room. You, of course, have J.D. Vance in that room, naturally the President of the United States. And as John mentioned, the White House Correspondents' dinner is where we are.
This dude doesn't stop eating. The entire time everyone gets cleared out and evacuated, this guy's like, fuck it. This fucking meal cost me $500. He's taking little bites while he's sitting there, and there's just no shame and no fucks given at all. It's hilarious. So here's the guy here. Fox News reporter, the shooter's manifesto said he wanted to target administration officials. Investigation also found extensive anti-Trump and anti-Christian rhetoric across his social media accounts. So for everyone that's trying to say he's MAGA, you know, he was a right-winger and all this shit, once again, it's the left trying to cope, because it's the left that always does this stuff. So you can see here he does his Naruto run straight through right through the metal detectors and right through the whole group. I mean, great fucking great skills for, you know, reacting to a situation. He blows right through all of them while they're having fucking coffee talk, and somebody else takes him down over there, and that's him when they've got him detained. They originally said he was shot, killed. Obviously, that's not the case. Here he is, not white, registered Democrat, Kamala Harris donor, education teacher of the month for December of 2024, Cole Allen, C2 education of Torrance, California. Here's your shooter right there, left-wing piece of shit scumbag from California, and a teacher teaching people's children. These mentally ill fucks put themselves in these positions of power over our children in order so they can infuse our children with their violent, disgusting rhetoric. This is who it is, the shooter that was there. So that was him. He's black. He's not white, or at the minimum, he's mixed race. That they've got him down. 31 years old, Cole Thomas Allen, identified as a suspect in shooting incident at the White House Correspondents' Dinner on April the 26th. All right, and President, that was right before it happened, and then they're speaking with somebody, and then they are all evacuated. There's Greta Thunberg, who is apparently dating Gollum at this point. Okay, so we're going to move on from that, and we're going to go into this SPLC thing coming because, you know, it's very convenient. Right after this SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center investigation happened, that Candace Owens, Nick Fuentes, Ian Carroll, Sneeko, and others have just fled the country and all gone to Italy. It's all very convenient that they all disappeared and said we need to take a break. Candace Owens didn't even announce it. She just fucking disappeared when normally she talks about going on her vacation and doing her bullshit. Ian Carroll said for mental reasons or whatever it was, he had to take a break from his stream and walk away. Nick Fuentes just fucking disappeared, and all of a sudden he's vacation in Italy. Sneeko did the same thing. It's really convenient timing. So for the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, is a nonprofit legal advocacy organization founded in 1971 by Morris Deep, Joseph Levin Jr., and civil rights leader Julian Bond in Montgomery, Alabama. Its mission is to fight hate, teach tolerance, and seek justice for vulnerable communities. That just means it's a DEI hire, anti-white, anti-American garbage organization. That's all that means. So particularly through legal action, public education, monitoring extremist groups, the SPLC is known for its classification of hate groups, litigation against white supremacist organizations, and educational programs promoting anti-bias awareness. Now, they've been actually funding white supremacist groups. That they are paying to create the problem that they're supposed to be fighting against. I mean, a brilliant tactic, really. So now that's been attacked and they're going after them in court, all of these others end up running and fleeing the country and making up various bullshit excuses about what's happening here. Here's Viva Frey and Barnes talking a little bit about this situation with the Southern Poverty Law Group. I'm going to play this. I'm going to be right back.
We can actually give the W to the DOJ. I don't know how long they were working on this indictment for. I mean, it's not something they threw together at the last minute. The question is why.
Yeah, no, it was Northern District of Alabama that had been working on this for quite some time.
Now the question is this:
the acting U.S. attorney down there is pretty good, and there's a lot of people that had a personal, professional payback time to SPLC. Also, they knew just what a scam SPLC had long been.
Well, the question is this. I mean, the timing is bizarre. Pam Bondi is ousted a couple of weeks ago, and we start seeing movement. What would have been Pam Bondi's influence or impediment to this indictment getting, getting approved by a grand jury? Like,
well, she could have negated it. She could have negated them bringing it to the grand jury.
Okay, now the question is, did she, or was this brought before she left and the timing is just totally coincidental? Irrelevant, doesn't matter. I read the indictment. It's interesting. I would have, I would love for these things to be fleshed out a little more. I'll pull up the indictment in a second, but this is a W for the administration.
You know why there are certain aspects they couldn't flesh out more?
Because of who's
involved. Who else was neck deep in the SPLC's fraud that they're identifying here?
I asked Grok to give me possible names. Robert whom? I don't want to name names because that would be accusatory. And you're going to hypothesize.
Well, the advantage here is it's the agency that took credit for the indictment. That's why the FBI can't include all the details and flesh it out, because these were FBI informants as well. They were on the FBI payroll at the same time.
I was going to say CIA because that was actually one of the names.
A little bit of that too, but this was all more FBI.
Okay,
it was all the way back. In fact, people could look up Hush Hush, another Hush Hush I have about this called Operation PatCon. It's part of the Oklahoma City Hush Hush in particular, series, at vivabarneslaw.locals.com. But people can just Google and look up, go to Operation PatCon, go to the FBI archives, that FOIA archives, where a lot of that information is up. And the Operation PatCon was started after the end of the Cold War because they were nervous, the FBI was how are we going to justify our big budgets now that there's no commies to be worried about hanging around the corner or infiltrating the government. Usually the commies were over in the FBI and the CIA, but putting that aside for the moment, how are we going to keep people with supporting the security state? And they came up with Operation PatCon, was to infiltrate and in some cases create fake patriot militia movements in the early 1990s.
Yeah, PATCOM was, what was it? Patriot Conservative was the
Yeah,
Patriotic
exactly.
Conservative, something along those lines. But then what's
Yep.
the difference between Operation PATCON and Operation, the one I always reference, and now I forgot it, infiltrating to cause strife? It had con.
Oh, that goes all the way back to the 1950s. That's COINTELPRO.
Yeah.
Run by Mark Felt, who was Deep Throat, by the way. His ultimate coup, his ultimate COINTELPRO success was getting the impeachment of the president who had removed him from control of the FBI that he thought he was going to inherit after the death of J. Edgar Hoover. So that's a little background on that side. But first, a little background for those people who don't know the history of Southern Poverty Law Center. I began researching them aggressively when I was in college because I thought, hey, I mean, I want to go to law school. I want to be involved in law and politics, make a difference. Well, it came from the populist tradition that, on paper, that's what Southern Poverty Law Center was all about. And as I researched them, I discovered, first, they almost do nothing about the South at all. Second, they really do nothing about poverty at all. Third, they really don't do much law work at all. So it's like you're the Southern Poverty Law Center that's not about the South, not about poverty, not about law. Then I researched the founder. And I'd also, at the time, I happened to come across his name in a separate capacity because I was doing a history project on the history and the psychology of the Ku Klux Klan. I was trying to research, was the Ku Klux Klan motivated by an ideological racial bias and prejudice, or was it based on psychological traits of career criminals looking for a political pretext for act out their psychopathy? Because I was finding in the files, the leaders of the Klan, particularly the most violent members, overwhelmingly were wife beaters, child abusers, pedophiles, serial cheaters, all that kind of thing. And I was like, I'm starting to think this wasn't because they were, they watched Birth of a Nation and read some race book. This is because they were just criminals looking to act out their criminality, and someone came along and said, here's your excuse for it. But in the capacity of that, came across a lawyer who was a key Klan lawyer, key Klan advocate. And at the same time, I'm researching the Southern Poverty Law Center, thinking initially they would be a resistance to these kind of groups because they took credit for taking down and bankrupting the Klan, and discovered that the founder of the Southern Poverty Law Center was a major Klan lawyer. Before that, Morris Dees used to raise all kinds of money to help the Ku Klux Klan. Then he realized late 60s, early 70s, hey, this grift is running out of gas. Not enough racists around to line the pockets.
And that's what a lot of them do. Think about Candace Owens for a minute. She started off as a leftist, doing a leftist show, exposing other people or right-wingers or conservatives or whatever. When she realized the grift wasn't working anymore and that the Trump train was gathering speed and people were supporting him, all of a sudden she became a staunch conservative, and she jumped on the bandwagon and got with it. And now all of a sudden she was conservative, calling out leftists and doing her part. And he Barnes was just explaining there that you had a Ku Klux Klansman that saw that there was no more benefit in being a Klansman anymore, but you could jump onto this other train, fight against them, and be a hero and put some money in your pocket. This is what all these lying grifters do. Ian Carroll has just been an attack dog for Candace. He found the anti-Israel grift and tried to make that work for him. Sneako's done the same thing, anti-Israel grift. Nick Fuentes has done the anti-Israel grift. All of these guys jump ship, go to the next thing that could make them money. Now we get to, and why I specifically in doing this show, news, politics, some humor as well, and have some fun. I also want to start exposing more of these lying, grifting pieces of shit, because all they do is grift for people's hard-earned money, brag about what they've got and what they've earned, all off of your dime, all bullshit you and lie to you and give you false narratives and run their little empire off of it. Now we've got one of the biggest ones at all, this scumbag, Jer the Bull Hambly here. And I'm glad that the whole internet has turned on him. I'm glad that they are trying to bring him down. I've already done a show previously where I highlighted one of the other content creators who have shown his grift has changed over the years from being like, eventually a salesman on video trying to teach boomers how to do some work with their computers to RC car bullshit to he's had this evolution. You can go back and watch that video I think it was the How Was Your Weekend one. And his grift has just evolved all of this time to finding ways to part people from their money. He's a snake oil salesman. Now, apparently, that one, his coffee company doesn't even necessarily exist. Is it Luther Morgan that has been going through this excessively? Shout outs to him and exposing what is going on with this company and what one is. Apparently he's lost the name, the patent for it, so he didn't renew, so he's losing his license to use it, and people have been joking around and saying Kino Casino should buy it. But on top of that, he's claimed there's a building, he claims there's employees, he claims he's in there with his his scientist jacket on, and he's fucking trying to come up with new things to put together. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. Here's Smash JT talking a little bit about it.
The quartering is not doing so hot these days after allegedly being the person behind a mass false flag campaign, and at least being the person threatening to false flag. Kino Casino and other channels were taken down as well outside of that. He's been on many, what you could say allegedly seem like drunken benders, and a lot of tweets that are getting deleted, and a lot of questionable things that he's saying, and also trying to leak DMs, which we've talked about, all these things. And now we have friend of the channel, Cablecast, coming out with a video that is such an awful look that you got to take a step back and be like, this is why you never challenge the internet to a fight. The internet is undefeated, and it loves to prove that to you.
Luther Morgan.
Cablecast official says, I edited this together from a quartering IRL stream. His goal was to actually stalk women. At one point, he follows a woman with children while making sexual remarks.
So this is from his past a while back, and people are finding this video, resurfacing it, and showing just like what a disgusting person he is. First of all, he's going around and raiding women that are at this Renaissance fair or something. He's following mothers around and talking about them as he's following them. He's recording their children as well. And then he's just making, lewd remarks about, oh, I'd hit that, she's a cougar, this and that. Just saying this out loud on stream and pulling all this bullshit. And they've put it up once again to show that he's not Mr. Christian, Mr. Nice Guy. This guy has been a scumbag, a weasel, and a womanizer his entire life. Everything that you're hearing about the bull, the wife swapping, everything else, I'm starting to see more and more that it's very likely true.
Holy. She looks back in fear several times for several minutes. What the fuck? Share this. Okay, let's check it.
If I did see a girl in
Okay, so he already sounds like he's slurring his words, and he's drunk. It sounds like that, just for the record.
if I did see a girl in a chainmail bikini, we would have got her on camera. Here's a MILF.
Bro.
Here's a MILF.
What is he doing
right
now? What is this? He's filming random women publicly, and like, oh my God, this is wild.
And we got a thick girl right there, boys. Rawr. Oh, here's another one.
This is crazy. Oh my God. I didn't watch this, by the way. Like, full disclosure, I was saving this for the stream for an honest, authentic reaction. This is worse than I thought it was going to be.
This is in Bristol, Wisconsin. Ooh, her cup overflows. She's a little bit old, but she overflows. Adam Racehorsey, the super chats will blot out the sun. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
What a fucking loser.
This is a mom with her two kids walking at a festival, and he's creepily stalking right behind her. And he says, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. while recording her. I don't know if I can keep watching this. She just looked back at him like, who is what? Why? You see that look back?
About the sun. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
So he says it loud enough for her to hear. That's what I'm talking about. And she does an awkward look back like, why is
she's walking with her 2 young kids. This fat big retard is walking behind her making these comments. And she's like, who is this fucking loser? Do I have to be concerned for my children? Are we being stalked right now? I mean, that's the vibe she's getting from Jer.
is this creep following behind me with a camera?
MILF, yeah. She's keeping it tight. You know she DTF. She got kids.
My God. I'm telling you, Kino Casino, the felting will never end. This is content for forever. But beyond the content, I am like legitimately just beside myself with this. Like, this is like there's entertaining content and haha make fun of people with stuff and oh that's wild. And then there's whatever this is. So this is like next level.
Yeah, boy. Here you go. Wow. Excuse me, officer. I know it looks bad, but somebody paid me $20 to do it.
Yikes. Jay Viper says he doubled down on this today too. Of course he did. Of course he did. That's definitely something. Camelot says he even had an excuse ready for police that might approach him for stalking. He is drunk out of his mind too. This is unbelievable. This one's great. This quote from one of his stands here. Mind telling everyone what Jer said at the end there, buddy? Or are we going to leave out the fact he said, I know it looks bad, but somebody gave me $20 to do it. You're going to let everyone know this, right? Right? Bro, I don't care if someone gave him $500 to do it. You don't do that shit. Like, what? How is this? This is the weirdest cope ever. Don't worry. It's okay. Someone paid him to be a creep. Cody, wait, you think accepting super chats to stalk children and women is totally cool? Bro, what? I'm not saying that. But it is a convenient thing to not mention. Also, stalking requires someone to kind of do that in secret.
So there you go. There's some of that. I still have to get to the coffee stuff. I have to. I have something I have to do, so I have to end the stream a little earlier. We went for an hour. There was just so much to get in. So I'm gonna do more updates tomorrow and get into more of this and catch up with anything that I missed. Please like and subscribe and share the show. We're on YouTube, X, Rumble, and Kick, and TikTok as well. Appreciate all the support and new people that are joining up. Thank you, and I'll talk to you all again soon.